Sarabaki must be a try. It is. Michael Jones.
The referees said they were going to get tough, and when Huya Gordon abused the touch judge, he got his marching orders.
Now Huya Gordon is being sent from the field here.
But the penalties weren't all one way. Wellington's first try was a penalty try. His second one was for real.
Sarabaki must score, and he does.
But really, that was Wellington's last fling.
Look at the pace of the little bloke. Opens it straight up. Fox. Satutu. Tuigamala could get a try. No, Satutu goes all the way. Marvellous try. Satutu. Clark. They must score, surely. Enger's in.
Just too quick, too big. Oh, that's a great try.
Wellington too had a good try, but 51 points to 14 says Auckland keeps the Ranfurly Shield with ease. Liam Giori, One Network News.
Waikato are next up for the Auckland Shield machine, and the Mulu men were potent against Taranaki today.
Up it goes. Cooper in support.
But there was also ugliness in the match. And with referees encouraged to use the sin bin more, Jim Taylor sent Graham Purvis and Nathan Hill to the cooler.
But the point from the narrow loss left the North Auckland side with a share of top spot. They have plenty, and counties play tomorrow. In English Rugby League, it's one of the biggest matchups of any season, Wigan taking on Leeds. Today's result probably wasn't a real surprise, but what happened to Wigan captain Dean Bell at the end of the game certainly was. Here's Liam Giori.
The best-kept secret of the night. Michael Aspel moves in, and Dean Bell will be the subject of a This Is Your Life.
Among all the accolades that Dean Bell has gathered in his long career, this would have to be one of the finest.
I feel as though I've been concussed, and I'm still knocked out. I think I'm dreaming.
It'll be some weeks yet before the show actually goes to air. The game, Leeds versus Wigan, though, is now past history.
Edwards, scampering run straight downfield. Oh, he's beaten Tate. Has he the pace? No question. And when this goes over from Botica, as I'm sure it will, Wigan have taken a stranglehold on this match against Leeds. That's good play from Schofield. He's given it to Hanley. Hanley's in for his second. Leeds have finished with a try right at the death. Consolation, the name of the game.
The final score, 32-18. Across the Tasman in the do-or-die Winfield Cup semi-final, Brisbane has Canberra in all sorts of trouble.
There's the mistake. Hancock's gone. A simple handling mistake, the chance.
And less than 5 minutes later, it was Brisbane again.
He kicks for Peter Ryan. Unbelievable try.
Canberra's only answer so far has been from Noah Najuku. Liam Giori, One Network News.
And moments ago, it was Brisbane 24, Canberra 12. Well, obviously, the Auckland rugby team had an emphatic victory today, and the Queen City's hockey and netball teams wanted much of the same. Richard Beck looks at their efforts and some other sporting action.
In a week when Sandra Edge started a possible netball comeback, her sister Margaret's been one of Auckland's best at the National Hockey Tournament. After her goal, Auckland scored another in the second half, giving them a 2-0 victory over Canterbury for the women's title. And the Auckland men also faced Canterbury in their final, Greg Russ giving them the desired start. Another first half goal followed for Jim Smith, giving the men an identical scoreline. But there was only humiliation for the Auckland netballers when the Caltex Trans-Tasman series started today. Just a week after winning the national title for the 8th year running, Auckland were trounced 68-38 by Victoria. And Australian netball supremacy was merely emphasised in the second match. Otago, beaten finalists a week ago, were also on the end of an inglorious result, beaten 65-33 by New South Wales. Second wasn't even close there, but the finish was a thriller in today's Akai television stakes in Hastings.
Cross is going after him. Calm Harbour's beaten him. Calm Harbour's...
So quite a finish there, but not a lot of money in it for punters looking for a big payout. And looking unbeatable in the US Tennis Open is world number 1 Steffi Graf. She's moved into the women's singles final with a 4-6, 6-1, 6-love win over Manuela Maleva Franier. Graf's opponent will be the tall Czech Elena Sokova, who'll be appearing in her first US Open final in 7 years. She was also taken to 3 sets before eliminating Spain's Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. Richard Beck, One Network News.
And of the young Kiwis at Flushing Meadow this year, we can tell you that Stephen Downs is through to the semi-finals in the junior boys singles. Rich.
Thanks,
Darryl,
Brendan.
sorry.
Yeah, you got it right eventually. Weather now, clouds today might mean rain tomorrow, Penelope.
Certainly will. There will be rain, closely followed by showers, so not the brightest of Sundays in store. Auckland cloudy today and reaching a maximum of 17. We had 13 in Rotorua, but very warm in Timaru and Invercargill with 18 and 17 apiece. That's about a 5 above average. So on the satellite, we were buried beneath a huge stack of frontal cloud. That's part of a complex low sitting to the west of the country, which will bring rain as it moves east overnight. Further south, we've got another front and a cold showery flow in behind that. Now, they will be working their way across the South Island tomorrow. There they are, as that first front moves offshore in the north. So in the north, there'll be a period of rain with that front, but behind the front, we've got a change to fresh showery westerlies. East of the main ranges, though, it's dry. During the afternoon, it should be sunny there. Elsewhere, though, the showers continue. They do become heavier towards evening when we're expecting a southerly change in southern districts, and there'll also be some late snow around the central high country. But hot stuff during the day in Hawke's Bay, the mercury expected to climb to 20 there. Now in the South Island, we're expecting a fine morning in Canterbury and Marlborough. Elsewhere, as you can see, that front will bring scattered rainfalls. You'll also be feeling that cold southerly change in southern districts at this stage. Now that will spread north during the morning, bringing showers and some snow to quite low levels. It'll get down to about 300 metres in southern districts. That southerly, though, will also mean a clearance over on the west coast towards evening and in inland parts of Southland and Otago. As for your highs, they're in the 9 to 16 range. So in the cities up north, Thirsty Gardens are well watered tomorrow. Westerlies fresh to strong. Tauranga and Rotorua showery, westerlies also fresh. Showers and brisk westerlies affecting Hamilton and New Plymouth too. Wanganui and Palmerston North faring no better. Napier and Hastings almost summery, maximum of 20 there if you please tomorrow. Wellington wet night and morning but fine in between and fairly windy. Christchurch fine till afternoon when that showery sou'wester sweeps in. Showers all day for Nelson and an inclement windy Sunday further south. So not the best day to run a marathon, go to the races or track down possums. Best you check for cancellations first.
Thank you, Penny, and that's One Network News for Saturday. Darryl.
Thank you. We'll be back at 6 tomorrow night. Until then, good night.
Tonight on New Zealand's One, Air New Zealand Holiday explores the world next. Then we meet Tuck's Wonder Dogs and enjoy more of the best of British in Heartbeat, an old sports cast the cause of too much trouble. Andrew McFarlane and Lorna Patterson star in The Flying Doctors, the start of a 3-part miniseries in the outback town of Cooper's Crossing. And Woody Allen's comedy Radio Days is our film club feature, tonight here on Television One.
The Women's War.
We feed voraciously on these people.
The Battle of the Glossies. The claws are out.
I mean, Rachel, when I was at the Weekly, I used to call her the patron saint of circulation.
Sex, stars and scandals. It's a race to scoop the story, and each mag has their own methods.
It's really difficult to understand how people can possibly think we're a fusty, mumsy sort of publication.
The inside story on women's magazines with Anita McNaught on Frontline Sunday, 6:30 on One.
This week, we open the Golden Gate to San Francisco. Jeremy Coney heads for cover in the Wild South. And Sarah Henson hoofs it to the Australian high country. But first, behind the bright lights of Hong Kong. Even before you land at Kai Tak Airport, Hong Kong seems to be racing to meet you. Everyone knows this image of the colony. The bright lights, the shopper's paradise, the city that never sleeps. Hong Kong is one of the world's great stopovers. It's on almost every airline schedule, barely a day's travel from down under. It's renowned as the place where tourists touch down for a day or two to take in the modern superlatives. The newest, the tallest, the cheapest, or the flashiest.
If it's glamour shopping you want, then Hong Kong is still Asia's consumer mecca. Anything you want at just about any price, you can get right here.
But Hong Kong is more than a mall. If you step outside the marble and glass for a minute, it doesn't take long to pick up something very different indeed.
This Hong Kong has hardly noticed the skyscrapers. Here in the heart of the Western District, people shop as they always have. And the further west you go, the closer you get to the east.
This thriving street life is what lies at the heart of Hong Kong, although not many tourists seem to find their way here. The Hong Kong Tourist Authority is hoping to change that with a special guide map and booklet that pilots you round the central and western districts of the city. But even without them, part of the pleasure is getting harmlessly lost. This is Manwha Lane, where the main industry is chop carving. A Chinese chop is a decorated stone stamp with your name engraved, and the chop carvers seem to be pretty good at translating English names into Chinese characters.
That's right, that's what everyone calls me.
Chops originated as signature stamps when huge sections of the population were illiterate. In the computer age, they're more popular as souvenirs of an ancient and delicate process. But it's a process that takes time.
Fabulous. Great, thank you.
These shops specialize in the very oriental art of drying food. There seems to be every kind of animal hung out to dry, and every kind of accompanying smell. Just down the road, the shelves of incense are a bit more pleasant. The product, too, is more spiritual. In shops like this, the Chinese prepare paper offerings to be burnt at funerals. Model replicas of life designed to accompany the spirit into the next world.
For just 65 Hong Kong dollars, you can send your dear departed a ghetto blaster, a deluxe model air conditioning unit, or for the latest in accessories, a cellular phone.
But if you want something a little more durable, the junk shops along the Western District's Hollywood Road cater for almost anything.
Oh, the barber
for service.
cuts their hairs, yeah?
One time 10 cents.
Yeah? Where can I find this man?
Finish. To other stuff. Other stuff.
What is a surprise here is that so little has altered. Even though Hong Kong faces a whole new future under Chinese rule after 1997, the old ways show no sign of changing. For every skyscraper, it seems, there's still an ancient temple like Man Mo.
Far from being a quaint tourist attraction, this, the oldest temple on Hong Kong Island, is still a living centre for many people's daily devotion.
Man Mo is the temple of both Man, the god of literature, and Mo, the god of war. Together they're seen as Hong Kong's patrons, celestial partners in both commerce and government. The prayers, the huge coils of incense, and the offerings flaming in the great braziers make for an almost daunting, dreamlike atmosphere. But for the locals, it's simply another matter-of-fact way of keeping the past alive. And if you want more of this kind of exploration at night, a short hop on the Star Ferry will take you to Kowloon and the famous night markets of the Yau Ma Tei district. There's food and fakes and just plain fun here until long into the night. And for those with a taste for it, some of the best curbside opera you'll hear anywhere. Of course, you can never really get away from the lights, but with their reflections dipping into the warm night across the harbour, well, who'd want to? You can fly to Hong Kong with Air New Zealand from $1,498, but check your travel agent for specials. Guide booklets and maps for walking tours around the city are available from the Hong Kong Tourist Authority for $6. Come Coming up, Jeremy Coney in the wild.
Sunday on One, an outstanding mix of comedy and drama begins with Keeping Up Appearances at 7:30. Then, in As Time Goes By, it's time to meet the in-laws.
Have you been any real help to Jean professionally?
On Montana's Sunday Theatre at 8:40, Joe's Jury, top Australian drama.
Joe Bielke-Peterson is an innocent man.
On Work of Art, a repeat screening of a powerful documentary about the contemporary Polish composer Henryk Górecki. Television at its best, Sunday on One.
Let Air New Zealand unfold the mysteries of Hong Kong. Take a friend and save with our new companion fare offer. Buy your ticket before September the 30th and save $550. See Air New Zealand or your travel agent now.
From a single-minded vision, Nissan has created an all-new car, the Nissan Bluebird. No matter where your journey should lead you, it has the power to produce a driving experience so enjoyable you'll never want it to stop, and technology to ensure you always can. The Nissan Bluebird, designed to satisfy the needs of an ever-changing world.
One of the Southern Hemisphere's largest and most spectacular freshwater springs is the one right here, Waikato-Pupu Springs. Hi, I'm Brett Dumbleton, and it's a fact that, optically speaking, this water is the clearest in the world, and every hour, more than 50 million litres of it gushes up from the marble rock below.
It's also a fact that a simple visit to the bank showed Vicky and Alan of Nelson they could pay off their home loan 8 years earlier and save a staggering $76,000 in interest with a tailored home loan designed specifically to their needs. $76,000. See how much you could save with a tailored home loan at any branch at the Bank of New Zealand.
Where's the light? Kids' noise.
Have your electrician install a PDL motion sensor. It'll turn your lights on inside the home automatically.
Win the world with Feltex. Every room you carpet with Feltex between September and December 1993 gives you the chance to win a fabulous one-week stay at a luxurious international resort hotel in either London, New York, Hong Kong or Singapore. The more rooms you carpet, the more chances you have to win. Win the world with Feltex. Carpet makers to the world.
Here in the South Island at Balclutha, most people make the mistake of going straight through to Invercargill. Well, not me. I'm going down Highway 92 to New Zealand's best-kept secret, the Catlins. The Catlins. Southlanders have been coming here for years, but they've kept it to themselves. And this is why. A spectacular rugged coast, lush podocarp forest that's almost subtropical, a place where man is still dwarfed by nature. My guide on this trip through the Catlins is Mary Sutherland.
Now, the cathedral caves you can only get in at low tide, extreme low tide, and even then sometimes it's not possible. You've always got to keep an eye on the sea, always.
Mary Sutherland is licensed by the Conservation Department to take wildlife tours through the Catlins, day trips or longer, and she designs them to suit your particular interests, even accommodating a fledgling chorister. Well, almost saved by the acoustics. This is one of a whole series of interlocking cabins. Like the caves, this geological wonder can only be reached at low tide. In the Jurassic period, the age of the dinosaurs, Curio Bay looked very different. 180 million years ago, give or take a year, there was a forest here. I'm actually standing between two trees that have been trapped in stone from the Jurassic period. However, there are more lively things to be found in the Catlins. These are hooker sea lions, now the rarest species of sea lion in the world. They can be very aggressive and are best approached with caution. Perhaps we should pray to them. Then again, perhaps not. A brisk dawn next morning, and with only a little effort, Mary has got us out of bed in time to catch a glimpse of another endangered species, the yellow-eyed penguin. This shy creature comes ashore at night to sleep. Now it's time for breakfast, and it's a bit of a walk to the dining room. First, loosen the stomach muscles with a little Tai Chi, and then a spot of kelp surfing. In typical Southland fashion, the Sutherlands will accommodate you in what started out as their holiday home. The locals call this a crib, revealing their Scottish ancestry. Here at Papatowai, right in the centre of the Catlins, Mary will put you up and cook a grand meal. The crib may not be flash, but it's warm and comfortable, and with views like this, what more could you want? Catlins wildlife trackers, as the Sutherlands call themselves, cater for a maximum of 6 people at a time. A 2-day personalised tour will cost you $170 per person, including food, accommodation and transport.
The mountains of the Great Dividing Range in Victoria, Australia. We've driven 3.5 hours northeast of Melbourne to explore some real Aussie bush on horseback. There was a time when only a handful of pioneers and their horses dared tackle such rough terrain. It's still fairly remote, but these days almost anyone can experience life in the mountains on horseback, even beginners like myself. Mountain Saddle Safaris is a Victorian company offering a wide range of horse riding holidays, from day trips to week-long treks. We opted for a weekend ride. There won't be enough time to reach the higher peaks of the Great Divide, but that doesn't mean our adventure will be any less challenging. Now, all this looks a little daunting if you're not an experienced rider, but it doesn't take long to get the knack.
Oh, it's just great to get away from the weekend and the office and all that stuff, and just beautiful. So come up and play a bit.
Is it demanding horse riding?
I think it's physically demanding, yeah. It's not really like a weekend away, it's like a weekend in the gym, you know.
There are plenty of times when the ride is nothing more than a leisurely walk, but much of it is up and down steep gullies. With terrain like this, horses come into their own. Malcolm and Debbie Johnston have been running their mountain rides for 12 years. Malcolm's in charge of the horses, while Debbie goes ahead in a 4-wheel drive to set up camp and prepare meals. No easy task with so many hungry riders to feed.
Lunch today is hamburgers and salad, and everyone helps themselves.
Thank you.
Saw your picture and a poster somewhere out of Phoenix. Guess you're still the sweetheart of the rodeo.
As our first day's ride draws to an end, I'm beginning to feel a little more confident. That is, until the final stretch for home. First, here's everyone else, then the dog, and then me. Home for the night is a cabin surrounded by tents high in the mountains. But this evening there's to be no ordinary campfire meal. We've ridden to the top of this ridge to take part in a special 3-course black tie dinner.
Look all right?
And that means getting ready for a night on the town, even if we're in the middle of nowhere. There's just one chore before dinner, and one horse is determined to make it as difficult as possible.
Right, come here.
Oh, God. Bit by bit.
With nose bags finally collected and dresses disentangled, it's time to sit down and enjoy the highlight of our black tie safari. A very affordable $210 for the weekend includes everything, even a bit of pre-dessert fire breathing. Dinner goes on into the early hours of the morning. There are plenty more aches and pains to come, but tonight, here in the mountains of Victoria, none of that really matters. A 2-day safari will set you back 210 New Zealand dollars. The ride starts near the town of Erica in Victoria, which is 3.5 hours northeast of Melbourne.
Coming up, we open the Golden Gate to San Francisco.
Tonight, Tuck's Wonder Dogs, a crazy Krypton factor for dogs. It's a show where dog owners and their poochers have a lot of fun as they go through some difficult tasks as they vie for the title of Tuck's Wonder Dog. Join the poochers and your dynamic host, Dexter, for canine fun that's #1. Tonight at 7, following Air New Zealand Holiday, meet the Tuck's Wonder Dogs on One.
Let Air New Zealand unfold the mysteries of Hong Kong. Take a friend and save with our new companion fare offer. Buy your ticket before September the 30th and save $550. See Air New Zealand or your travel agent now.
The ability to remain constant. The ability to stay strong. The ability to be competitive. You'll always find these in a thoroughbred.
More doors in more places. You've got the whole world in your hands with MasterCard.
Brother has revolutionized overlocking with the amazing 4-thread differential feed overlocker. And we've revolutionized the price with $300 off, plus 18 months interest-free. Color coding makes threading simple, easily converts to 3 or 4 thread stitches. Fine adjustment for stitch and cutting width. And differential feed for knit sewing. With your deposit and our interest-free terms, you can pay as little as $12.82 a week. The Brother 4-thread overlocker, a revolution in overlocking. Call our free phone now for your nearest dealer.
Here's a little bit of black magic. And here's a little bit more. free plant labels with every 15-litre pack of Yates Black Magic seed raising mix.
Ian Kirkpatrick has never been one to settle for second best, on the field or on the farm.
Belverton has always been my #1 choice, now more so than ever. It's more concentrated, so I get 30% more doses from the same pack.
More punch than an all-black front row. Belverton Extra, with 30% more doses, from SmithKline Beecham.
Belverton, my first choice every time.
Any city that will take your heart as down payment on a good time has to be amazing. Welcome to San Francisco. These are the first sounds of a perfect morning. The dawn chorus from Pier 39, sea lions defending territory. You have to be early to catch this dreamy mood because in a couple of hours, Fisherman's Wharf changes dramatically. Each day sees an invasion. 10.5 million come each year to Pier 39 alone to walk, eat, or just gawk at the buskers. Some are good, others, well, but it doesn't matter. This is a city where there's no cardinal sin and tolerance is the virtue.
On a warm San Franciscan night.
Of course, many people, including me, are here to buy a little bit of San Francisco they can take home with them. Something they've already seen or something they hope to see. The Golden Gate, for instance, as a pencil sharpener. A little bit of domestic San Francisco architecture. But did you know there are at least 10 popular songs celebrating this fantastic city? So why not go for the double? A musical cable car. These clattering icons have been around for more than a century. To catch a ride is an absolute must.
You got to be very strong to do this? No. No? You use a lot of leverage. You know, you just kind of hang on and fall back.
What's good advice for the brakeman goes doubly for his passengers.
The only thing is, when another tram comes this way, you've got to hold your breath. It's going to be fairly tight in a second.
But it's a climb that's the real thrill. The San Francisco streets are laid out on a grid that ignores the hills. So the cable cars ignore gravity. All the way to the top. Here, the rich once built their palaces to escape the boomtown below. Now, Nob Hill has the best hotels, restaurants, and views. And that includes that preeminent city symbol, the bridge. They said the Golden Gate could never be built, but build it they did. And incidentally, using enough wire in its cables to stretch 3 times around the world. And in its shadow, another triumph of man over nature, the Golden Gate Park, the biggest man-made